Okay, so we're recording. Welcome, everybody. I'm Pablo Galvez with Agent Upgrade. And let me give you a brief introduction to who I am in case you haven't seen me, and this is going to be online afterwards. So that's maybe why I need to go over this. Most of the people on this call I can see I know already. I am a top producing real estate agent based in Calgary, Canada. And my wife, Simone Russo, and I, we average about 70 transactions a year. I wish it was 80, but 70 transactions a year. And we've been doing this since 2010. And we personally invested over $100,000 of our own money into real estate coaching. We each had our own coach for a while. We had our combined coach for a while. And I really was emphasizing about the importance of being coachable. And coachable means that you take the information, you write it down. I used to have these processes that I would use after coaching calls that I would learn the information, write down the information that I was given, and then I would rewrite it afterwards. So it's not just about absorbing information, because especially, I was just telling Simone the other day how much real estate coaching and training there is right now. Everybody's giving their stuff for free. We've always given our stuff for free, but there's free coaching here, free coaching there, and you're getting bombarded as agents right now with free coaching information, right? And so our goal here is to provide more and just really fill up your head, but no, give you something that now is going to be recorded and a process. So this is part of a ongoing process that we've been doing since the beginning of the year, and it goes through the entire year of 2020. I was being coached, but I was also a coach with the Mike Ferry Network. And now I'm just a trainer and coach and real estate agent and stay-at-home dad with two fun teenagers these days, which is a blast. I mentioned that this is part of a ongoing training program that we have. Today, we're doing Module 105, which is lead generation and conversion, but you can see it started all the way up at Module 101, which is real estate fundamentals, goes all the way through kind of the basics of real estate based on everything that we've learned. Mute everyone here.
I was hearing.
There we go. And so basically Module 101 all the way through to 110, these are kind of like the basics and fundamentals of real estate. And then I've gone ahead and we're in the process of creating Modules 201 all the way to 210. And this is kind of the advanced course. So this is for agents who may already be established or may already have a little bit of their systems going and everything. But this is like how to train and hire an admin assistant, handling objections. This is the tweaking that makes you a superstar. So it's kind of going from the basics to the advanced. I'm really excited about going through these, and we do this on the first and third Thursday of every single month. Normally it's live and in person, but in this case, because of COVID-19 and isolation, we are at home in our home office. If you want to find us, we're at Agent Upgrade on social media. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, and we have a YouTube channel as well. If you search Agent Upgrade, you'll find that. We also have a website, agentupgrade.ca, for our Canadian friends. So a little recap. 2 weeks ago, we did what was called the morning routine for realtors. It was a really great opportunity, I think, to learn about what the morning routine was all about, what the importance of the morning routine was, why you should have a morning routine. I still wake up at 5 every single day in isolation here. Really enjoy those mornings because it grounds and roots me. We talked about the different elements that can be in your morning routine, from meditation to yoga and exercise to reading, all the different components, journaling, all the different things and why each one was a good element. And then we gave you some resources at the end for how to create your own morning schedule. And it's like a morning schedule builder. If you want to look at having a morning schedule, if you missed this, go on our website, agentupgrade.ca/downloads, and I'll have that link later as well. And I've left it up for this week as well, which is that morning routine builder. And you can just kind of take elements of the morning routine and place it right into your own morning routine. And then I also recorded it and posted it on our YouTube channel on YouTube, so you can always look it up and watch it later. Okay, one of the benefits of being not live but in recording here. So today we're doing lead generation and conversion, and this is really, I think, a very timely subject, because right now there's a lot of realtors wondering, how can I generate business in this market and in this economy? If you haven't watched it already, we posted a video and it's on YouTube, and it's all about getting your personal financial situation in order, getting your financial house in order, okay? Really important video to watch because it goes over how to reduce your expenses down to almost nothing, because we know that with all of this, there's going to be a lag. There's going to be a period of time where you're not going to be doing transactions. It could be 3-6 weeks. It could be 3-6 months. It could be a year where there's little to no transactions happening. I think all of us have to realize that it's going to go down. Probably the volume that we normally associate with is going to go down to about 10 to 20% of our normal volume over the next couple of weeks or months. So plan for that. But what a tremendous opportunity when we're stuck at home to start learning new ways of generating leads. And whether that's online or on the telephone, I mean, we're not door knocking in this kind of market with isolation, but there's some tremendous opportunities for lead generation. And like I said, learning about technology, which is one of the best things you can do during this time. So let's get started. So in lead generation today, what I hope to go over is, number one, where we found our leads and how Simone and I grew our own business. I mean, we're pretty much at the point now where we do past clients and Sphere as 95% of our business. And we don't have to go out and look for new business as much anymore. But if you're in the process right now of looking for new business, you really only have a few past clients in Sphere of Influence. And where are you going to get new leads from? We're going to go over that. We're going to go over the difference between passive and active lead generation. We're going to talk about what to say for lead conversion, right? So how to get those leads that you got online, or how you got all those leads and convert them into buyers and sellers that we use to generate a paycheck. And then we're going to talk about establishing some of the habits and routines to help you grow as a realtor who's doing lead generation. So my first question for everyone is, who is a potential client in real estate? And what I wrote down here is, if you're, for example, like we're all in real estate, we help buyers and sellers sell and buy homes, right? So definitely one of our clients is not going to be little children necessarily, right? Although I have to say, we are constantly telling our kids to talk to their friends. And if they ever hear their friends thinking about buying or selling, that they should refer their parents to us, and we will give them a referral fee in the form of, say, a new iPhone, right? So kids understand the concepts of referrals as well. But if you're selling something obscure like scuba tanks, okay, you're in the diving industry and you're selling scuba tanks, you've got a very limited market that you're dealing with, right? You're out there looking for people who are looking for scuba gear. So it's a very different kind of marketing strategy than you might have as a realtor. And maybe one of the blessings and one of the curses of real estate is that in reality, everyone on the streets, everyone that you meet could be a potential client. Would you agree with me that just about everybody could be a potential client? And that's great, right? So my question, which I pose to a lot of people a lot of times, is there a home in your neighborhood that's going to list in the next, say, 3 to 6 weeks? Probably, right? There's probably going to be a home in your neighborhood that's going to list in the next 3 to 6 weeks. And the next question to that is, do they know about you as a realtor? Do they know that you're a realtor? Do they know that you live in the neighborhood? And if not, maybe we should look at ways to fix that so that people know that you're a real estate agent. If they don't know about you, they can't even have an opportunity to list with you. Am I right? So that's going to lead us to really how many leads we need. And that's going to be a real question that we're going to ask later on in the presentation, of how many leads do you actually need in real estate? Now, there's a lot of ways to find leads. Remember, I was saying that almost everyone could be a lead for us. So I've kind of brainstormed. I just wrote down a whole bunch of ways. And I think that, I'm having a hard time seeing any other ways that you get leads. Everything kind of falls under these categories. Like networking is a really broad one, for example. So networking might be talking to the other parents at the school that your kids go to. Networking can be joining a gym and talking to the people in the gym, right? So networking is a really broad one. Advertising is a really broad one, right? Bus benches, billboards, newspaper, radio, whatever. Expireds, FSBOs, old leads, agent referrals, great source of real estate. either reaching out to realtors or just having them know that you're the go-to person in that market. Speaking of, if you have any referrals for Calgary, Canada, I'm just kidding. So tenants is another one, right? Renters who are going to become owners. COI is your center of influence or your sphere of influence, the telephone, door knocking, open houses. So there's lots of different ways to find leads. And like I said earlier, that's kind of a blessing and a curse, right? There's so many great ways to find business. Which way should you do? What should you be focusing on? Should you be doing more than one? Should you be, maybe doing open houses and for sell by owners? Should you be networking and doing online, or should you be doing all of them and trying to figure out how to get, I'll just try everything and see what works. And what I've really learned from talking to a lot of agents is that they get very confused. They try stuff all the time. They're like, I'm going to try this and see if it works, and try that and see if it works. And over time, it can be a very frustrating experience for them because they've tried all these different things and nothing seems to work. Does that resonate with anyone? Trying a lot of different lead generation strategies, trying to figure out how it works? Yeah, it can be very dizzying and with the lack of focus. So with lead generation, there's really two different ways to generate leads. And I know I can see John on here. He's nodding his head going, yeah, I've seen this before. There's passive lead generation and active lead generation. And I'm going to start with passive lead generation. Okay, so passive lead generation is really about waiting for people to contact you. So it's putting yourself out there. Sometimes it can be an advertisement or some kind of message, and then hoping people respond to that message. Now, this can involve things like bus benches, maybe a newspaper ad, magazine ad, billboards, online ads. So yes, social media is all included in this. So anything where you are putting yourself out there, a message out there, and hoping that people call you off of that message or sign, that is called passive lead generation. And I'm not here to say passive lead generation, you shouldn't be doing it. And that sounds like something, this poor guy watching his screen waiting for leads to come in. It's not that hopeless. And, having kind of this passive lead generation can be a great strategy. And I know a lot of realtors who have a passive lead generation strategy that works very, very, very well. And we'll talk about that. One of the most popular forms of passive lead generation is either, the bus benches and all that kind of stuff, which is fine, or social media. Now, social media is truly probably one of the best forms right now in this market of passive lead generation, because you put out posts and then you hope people contact you from those. So let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts of social media. This is not coming from me. This is coming from people who are way smarter than me, because I have to be honest, my social media presence is not the greatest. My skills are not the greatest. But let's look at some of the things that I believe, and this is coming from experts, but I believe these are the most important aspects of the do's and don'ts of social media. Number one, if you're going to do social media, you have to have some sort of business plan. You have to have a plan of how do you plan to present yourself on social media? What kind of posts are you going to do? When are you going to post those things? All of those, like the actual strategy around it, okay? Number two is you want to have a brand strategy. And that means what's the look and feel? What's the voice that I'm going to have when I'm posting things online? Is it just, today I'm posting pictures of my dinner that I'm going out to, and then the next day I'm posting something about, me out in the park with my dog and a lifestyle kind of thing. And then the next day I'm posting something about real estate. Are you going to do a balance? Is it going to be 80-20, like business and personal? Really kind of thinking about what your brand is going to be. What look are you going for? And I can tell you that some of the people that I've had the opportunity to work with in social media, they have a very strong brand presence. And when you look at their social media, it's just like, wow, aren't they put together? Like everything seems to match in here. That's because they had a brand strategy, okay? Watch your analytics. I mean, this is something that some analytical people love to get into this. I'm not that analytical, but the analytics, watch the analytics, watch what is working. And this is part of your business plan, is that you do something, monitor the effectiveness of it, and then monitor, and constantly be doing that with the analytics. Learn skills. So this is like, if you're going to be doing social media, you got to be doing this as a strategy to improve your business. I would not personally do any more than 20% personal. I grew my entire real estate business with zero social media presence. So I find I look at some realtors and 95% of what they post is a lot of kind of random personal stuff. And then the odd time they post something about business. So either have a business page and put all your stuff on the business page, lock down your personal and open up your business page and grow that, or really convert your personal social media into your business. Because as realtors, we're kind of always on, right? Focus on quality. So really make sure that the type of posts that you're doing are good quality sound, good quality lighting, good quality posts that actually say something of importance. And then it's really important to engage. So if you're comfortable naturally with social media, this is probably like, oh yeah, I do all this. I don't even think about it. If you're someone like Simone, who's never done a social media post in her life, this is like way over her head. She doesn't understand it. As far as the don'ts, don't be random. So it's a thought out plan. If you really want to do social media really, really well, don't be random posting like all this stuff. Like I said, don't party and post. So if you've got a nice business page going and everything's going well, and all of a sudden there's pictures of you partying and drinking, you have to remember that what is social media used for? It's either going to be used to that someone sees your social media while they're browsing and kind of following other people, and they say, oh, somebody should follow you. Okay, and they follow you and they get a feel for who you are. So what they see and what they read is going to give them a positive or negative feeling about who you are. Now, if you're coming across genuine and you sound like you really have a plan and you're going through social media, they're going to get that feeling from you. If you're partying every weekend and you got pictures of you with cocktails and people around you, and it's like this big, they're going to get a sense that you as a real estate agent are focused on your social life and partying, right? So don't party and post unless you've got it on a lockdown private message, private profile. Really avoid political views. This is, I don't follow any politics. I don't even know the difference between left and right, but just really avoid, if you're a realtor, try and avoid, they come across as negative. And so negativity and political views kind of go together here. There's a lot of realtors and I just block them. You get those kind of social media political posts, Trudeau this or Trump that, and just avoid those. Nobody really needs to see those, and you're not doing yourself any good in your real estate business. Could you imagine if you advertised on a bus bench, Pablo Galvez, eXp Realty, and I hate Trump? Imagine if that was my bus bench. I mean, would you spend money on a bus bench that had a political post on it? No, right? That just doesn't help your business. And you're going to piss off 50% of the population. You might make friends with the other 50%, and do you want them? And I wouldn't rely 100% on social media. You got to make sure that you're working on some of your other skills and whatnot as a real estate agent. So next we talk about active lead generation. So the other side, right? We talked about passive lead generation, now active lead generation. Now, when you're in full control of your business activity, the lead flow is not determined by the amount that you spend, okay? With passive lead generation, if you're advertising, if you're boosting posts and you're doing all that, that's going to dictate your results. And don't get me wrong, I believe that advertising works. I think it really does. In my previous company, we had an ad budget of about $1 million a year. We did radio, billboards, newspaper, social media, everything. We did the whole gamut of advertising, and the leads poured in. Man, we got leads left, right, and center. We had to design like a lead funnel, right? And funnel all these leads down and turn them into a prospect or a deal. And it was a great system until the market slowed down. And what happens when the market slows down? Your business dries up. And when your business dries up, you have to cut back expenses. And when your expenses have to get cut back, do you lay off staff or do you cut back on advertising? You cut back on advertising. What happens when you cut back on your advertising? The leads go down. Your business continues to go down. You see the cycle here? So if you can maintain your advertising through all times, great. But the more, it's like a drug, man. The more you spend on advertising, the more leads you get. And it is like a drug, and you know how it works, right? The more and more you get, and then all of a sudden I've never done drugs, but yes, I'm very innocent. But from what I hear, the more you do, then the effectiveness isn't quite as good. And so you're just throwing more at it. And so you just start spending more and more money on advertising, and the effectiveness starts to go down, and you have to change up, right? So with active lead generation, you are 100% in control because you're actively going out and seeking leads, okay? Now, you can track the effectiveness of your own efforts a lot easier than you can track the effectiveness of advertising or social media. For example, how do I know if this lead came from a billboard, or if it came from a radio ad, or if it came from a newspaper ad? Really hard to see where that lead came from. Does that make sense? With active lead generation techniques, you can actually track your own efforts, your personal efforts, and where your leads are coming from. It's a lot easier to track. Most of the time, it's 100% free. And in this market, that is very welcome for a lot of people. A free way to generate leads. I mean, it sounds too good to be true. Now, is it 100% free? Well, it costs you your time and effort. But your time and effort is going to net you tremendous, tremendous results, okay? And a lot of people find that it's easy to learn. You can learn one script, get on the phone and call people. You can learn another script, go out and door knock. You can learn a script and do open up. You can do all kinds of active lead generation without having to pay for things. So how do you get all these free leads? All right. This is really critical. I love this. And this is something that I truly believe has been the key to my business. Success in real estate is proportionate to the number of people you speak to daily. So if you are I could go through this list of agents that I see here, and if you simply told me how many people you talk to every single day about real estate, I could tell you your income. Absolutely. It's completely proportionate to the number of people that you talk to every single day. So some ways that you can get free leads: door knocking, cold calling, networking, right? We talked about networking, whether it's talking to parents of the kids at school or whatever it is, but networking, tremendous way to get leads. Your sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence includes the person that cuts your hair. This is anybody that knows you, that if you were to go to the hairdressers and I was there as well, and I said, "Do you know this person?" And the hairdresser said, "Oh yeah, that's Pablo. He comes in here every 4 weeks," or whatever, right? Then that's a sphere of influence. People who you know and they know you, all right? And you should be constantly building this sphere of influence as a real estate agent. What a tremendous way of generating business. And I always kind of had this philosophy of, I'm going to work with a mortgage broker who is also referring me business. I'm going to work with a hairdresser who's also going to refer me business if they've got one. I'm going to work with a car dealer who's also going to give me business. And everyone that I do business with can also give me business. That's your sphere of influence. And of course, your past clients, great, tremendous source of free business and free leads. Another way is, this one's not a free lead, but team leads. So in a lot of situations, especially when a realtor is just getting started out in real estate, joining a team is a good way to get business, right? So in this scenario, the leader of the team would generate leads for the team. You would end up kind of doing a lot of follow-up on those leads. There would be a commission split, somewhere 25 to 50%. I've seen up to 60% on new leads that came into the company. And but the nice thing is, as a realtor, is that it can be a very low cost of entry. So it can cost you less to join a team than it is to start up your own whole business and try and get out and find new leads. So it can be a good entry into real estate. There is, however, long-term minimal growth and minimal control over your own business and what you do. So long-term, it's nice to run your own business and your own company rather than always being with a team. Most agents will stay with a team 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then they'll want to branch out on their own. Networking. So when I talk about networking, I think this is one of the best form of leads. Don't be a secret agent. And being a secret agent means not letting anybody know that you're a realtor. And if you think back to the 80s and 90s and maybe the early 2000s, and I know there's still some realtors who do this, but you wear the old pin, the lapel pin of whatever real estate company you're with, and that's the conversation starter, right? And I remember doing that when I first started out. I was wearing my little pin, and I was at Costco, and I was at the checkout, and the lady said, "Oh, you're a realtor?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm looking to actually sell my house." I said, "Great." I said, "Here, quick, take my card." And then I exchanged her information, and she never ended up selling, but that was a lead, right? So I got a lead just from wearing a pin. I don't know if I'd do that still. It's a little corny, but don't be a secret agent. Now, here's what I said is that use a conversation starter. So no matter where you are or whoever you're talking to, try this. Just say, somebody meets you. "Oh, hey, Jack, nice to meet you. How are you today?" "Oh, great, man. Busy day today. I had showings all morning. I was writing an offer this afternoon." "Wow, what, are you a realtor?" Right? So you drop a hint like, "Oh, it was a great morning. I was all day I was prospecting, and I managed to generate a few leads for my seller client." And you go, "Oh, are you a real estate agent?" "As a matter of fact, I am," right? So this is your way of kind of dropping a little hint to people that you're talking to, wherever, that you're a real estate agent. So you don't have to come out and say it. "Hi, by the way, my name is Pablo. I'm a realtor. If you ever need to buy or sell," you can be subtle just by dropping a conversation hint. So there's a little nugget of gold for you today, okay? So there's some of the openers or conversation starters. It's been a busy day today. I was out showing homes this morning. "You're out showing homes? What, are you a realtor or something?" "That's right." And then the next progression naturally is they're going to say, "What? How's the market these days?" How is this the one question that everybody seems to ask real estate agents? How's the market these days? And as real estate agents, we are either on the extreme driver short question, the short answer side of life, or you're on the analytical side. And I usually get answers like, "Well, how's the market these days?" And the answer is, "Well, statistically, we this and this and this, and depends on the community, because this community is up 10%, but that community is down 8%, and overall the average is this, but the floating average is that," and they get into all the statistics, right? No. When someone asks you, "How's the market these days?" they're not actually interested in how the market is these days. What are they interested in? Either A, they just don't even know what to say to a realtor other than "How's the market?" or how are things these days? Are things going well? How's the COVID affecting you? They're asking these questions because they don't know what to say to a realtor, right? I've just met a realtor. It's like, if you met a geophysicist, what would you say, right? You come up with some kind of scripted response as a casual conversation. Now, I'm going to give you the script of what to say when somebody asks you this, okay? Because they're either asking because they don't know what to ask a realtor, or they're actually asking because they might be interested in their own value of their home or their own real estate situation, right? So the scripted response that I was always taught, and it becomes second nature, is this. "Actually, right now I'm looking for homes to sell. Do you know someone looking to sell or needing to buy?" So this just becomes natural. And that becomes the response. And they might say either, "Well, yeah, my wife and I are thinking of maybe selling our house in the next 6 months. We're just not sure if this virus thing is going to affect the prices." And now you can start a conversation, right? So you don't have to answer with the stats and how the market is. Answer with this. "Actually, right now I'm looking for homes to sell. Do you know someone looking to sell or needing to buy?" Right? And if they say no, so "I appreciate you taking the time to think about it. How about you? When do you plan on moving?" "Well, we were actually thinking of buying a house because I think the prices are down right now. So maybe this is a good time to buy a house." "Great. All we need to do now is set an appointment so I can help you do that. Wouldn't that be great?" You see how networking can really be a tremendous way to generate business. So let's talk about the telephone. So the telephone, which is probably the most ancient technique of generating leads, but still works to this day. I know a lot of people who still use the telephone to generate a tremendous amount of business. Why is that this is such a good tool? Is that, this is often called cold calling or telephone prospecting, we call it sometimes. This is just overall a better form of communication. So when you speak to someone, like here we are, you can see my body language. So if I get excited, my eyebrows go up and I get a little excited. And so this is a good form of communication because I can either tone it down and I can give you a serious face, or I can liven it up and give you an excited face, and you get to see and feel, you can hear the emotion and you can see the emotion. If we are in person, you're also going to get, this is going to sound gross, but you're going to get smells, right? So whatever smell is in the air, if you got really bad BO, that's going to affect the conversation. But if you got a nice cologne on, maybe that'll give them another stimulus. And the more senses that we can stimulate in a conversation, the better. So if you send an email or a text or a message online, that's one form of communication. Telephone is one huge step up from that. Video conferencing would be a small step up from that, and then in person is going to be the best. But it's a better form of communication than just simple communication over text. I said, be fearless. If you're on the phone, don't be afraid of phoning people. And I think when I started getting on the phone and talking to people, I probably had these stories cooked up in my head that people were not really going to be interested in hearing what I had to say, or that I was going to be bothering people if I contacted them. Does that make sense? Anybody else felt like that, where you're like, I feel like if I call people, it's going to be bothering them, right? And my coach used to say, start telephone prospecting at 7:30 in the morning. And I said, 7:30? Who's going to take a call? Everybody's sleeping. He says, well, what time do you wake up? I'm up at 5, but I'm weird, right? I'm one of the exception, not the rule. And then we'd say, well, who else is up at 7 in the morning? Well, parents with their kids, right? So they haven't dropped their kids off at school yet. They're just in the process of getting things ready. And all of a sudden you're calling them at 7:30 in the morning. We cook up in our heads that they don't want to be bothered at that time, but maybe it's actually a great time to call them, right? Or maybe they're senior citizens and they're up having a cup of coffee at 7:30 in the morning and you can call them, right? So what time you call is completely up to you. But be fearless about it. Don't be thinking about what they don't want to hear or that these people are annoyed by you. You want to be thinking about just the facts that you're making a call, and if they don't want to hear from you, fine, right? And it's used by thousands and thousands of top producers to generate a tremendous amount of business and leads. And it can be very routine and repeatable, right? So if you're advertising, it can be repeatable, but it costs money. This can be repeatable because you're in control of the actions that you do on the telephone. So a couple of points here. You really want to be thoughtful of your environment. So if you are right now at home with 3 or 4 kids running around the house and you're trying to make telephone calls, it's going to be very challenging unless you lock yourself in a closet. And that is actually a very good suggestion because I know a lot of agents who literally lock themselves in a closet during their telephone prospecting time so that they can have some quiet. Maybe you need to rent an office space. Obviously right now things are a little bit different, but having a quiet place. Now, when Simone and Simone really did a tremendous amount of telephone prospecting, and I wish I had a picture of her office, and I know I've got it somewhere in our archives, but she had an office with no windows. That was a distraction. She had a computer, but on the computer, there was no email set up on there. There was really no distractions on that computer. There's no social media links on any of the browsers. It was kind of set up that if she needed to, in our dialing system, she needed a computer to have on at the same time. And then it was surrounded with positivity. So you can see my walls behind me. I've got my dream board on there. I've got things that inspire me back here. And it was a space that's just surrounded with things that drive her and create positivity. Also on the wall was usually in front of her computer, so you can't see on this side, but there would be a wall full of scripts and dialogues and things that she wants to say, things to remember. So on her wall, and I did take some pictures, I'll see if I can send them out on social, but there was things like use an uptone. So things you learn as you start to improve your skills as a communicator, instead of always, it sounds more definitive. If you were to say, so do you think you'd like to sell? that's an up tone. And if you say, so would you like to sell? That's a down tone. So I said use uptones, use a down tone. Using an uptone when people talk like this, it leaves a kind of an open-ended question and it sounds a little bit weak. Whereas if you use a down tone and you speak down and everything you say is definitive, it becomes a lot more, it cements it home with the prospect a lot better. So she had all kinds of sayings like that so that when she was in there, she had an environment that was surrounded and kind of created for telephone prospecting. She would start with a warm-up routine, and it started with affirmations. So maybe saying some things. I know John and Denise and all those Vancouver people, they've just got this great warm-up routine. John, would you mind just, I don't know if you can right now, but unmute and tell me what your warm-up, like that starting thing is that you guys do?
Affirmations.
And it starts like, I'm a great listing agent. Remember that part?
You want to do one right now?
Yeah, let's do one. Everybody unmute your microphones.
Oh my gosh.
And it's going to sound crazy, you guys. Like people are going to think you're nuts, but it's going to sound great. Trust me. This is what you do before telephone prospecting. So stand up if you're not standing up, or get kind of mobile and then listen to John.
All right, guys. All right, do we all agree that we need a lot of energy and enthusiasm to sell a lot of real estate, guys?
Yes.
Well, who wants to make more money? Say aye.
Aye.
And who wants to do more deals? Say aye.
Aye.
Repeat after me. Today is a great day.
Today is a great day.
Today I have energy.
Today I have energy. I have energy.
It's the day I'm going to make it happen.
And I'm going to make it happen.
I am ready to make today the best day of my life.
I'm ready to make today the best day of my life.
I see myself achieving my goal.
I see myself achieving my goals.
I'm a goal achiever.
I'm a goal achiever.
I believe in me.
I believe in me.
Every day and in every way, I'm getting better and better.
Every day and every way, I'm getting better and better.
I'm alive, excited, and full of energy.
I'm alive
and full of energy.
I am a great salesperson.
I am a great salesperson.
You are a great salesperson.
You are a great salesperson.
I love to prospect.
I love to prospect.
I am prospecting with intensity.
I am prospecting with intensity.
I am an energetic, enthusiastic, and charismatic salesperson.
I am an energetic, enthusiastic, salesperson.
Repeat after me. The phone makes me money.
Phone makes me money.
I enjoy making the next call.
I enjoy making the next call.
Ariel, this one's for you. I am versatile.
I am versatile.
I make the scripts work and I follow the scripts verbatim.
I make the scripts work and I follow the scripts verbatim.
I ask every question on the script.
I ask every question on the script.
I listen for my client's motivation.
I listen for my client's
Motivation.
I listen for how I can solve their problems.
I
love objections. I handle objections with ease.
I handle objections with ease.
I am versatile with my prospects.
I am versatile with my prospects.
I close at least one more time that I'm comfortable with.
I
I'm a closer.
I
I will not accept a no when a yes is still possible.
I will not accept a no when a yes is possible.
I'm powerful, fearless, determined, and unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
I am committed to my success.
I am
committed to my success.
I am successful in everything I do.
I am
Successful in everything I do.
I do.
I put your body into it. My mindset is strong all day long.
My mindset is strong all day long.
Yay.
My goodness.
Woo! Awesome, John. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
doing
John.
that. Like, how do
I
you
cannot sit
feel
down.
now compared to 2 minutes ago listening to me, right? Like your energy level is up. Now, if you get on the phones right now, you're energized, you're excited, you're making calls with all
Yes, yeah. They put you guys put me on hold. It just never went anywhere.
Oh, hang on. We're gonna mute all. There we go. Okay. Thank you so much, John, for doing that. That was really great. And so after the affirmations, sometimes, or as part of it, you do some jumping. You want to get your heartbeat up, your exercise. You really want to get going, right? I'm going to share my screen again because I'm looking at it, but nobody else. There we go. So you want to do some jumping and review your goals and see where you're at for the month. And then you get on the phones and you're fired up and you're excited, right? You're alive and you're excited and full of energy, like John says. And then you track your numbers. Now, I'm going to talk about the tracking numbers after this, but I've created a daily tracking form. It's something that I used, or kind of a format that I used. And in here, you can download this in our downloads section, but there'll be the 3 priorities for today, your contacts that you made today, the appointments that you set, the leads that you got, the follow-ups that you need to do, and then like all the time blocking. What did you do today? What did you actually do? Where did the time leak in there, right? So that's how, I mean, it does not have to, when people hear telephone prospecting, they think of this boring routine thing. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be exciting and fun, and people get on with other people on, group prospecting things, and they get on Zoom calls together and have accountability. It can be a lot of fun. Okay, math time for math. Let's bring it down. Now, I want to show everybody how to make $16 every single time you speak to someone about real estate. Does that sound fair? Does anybody want to learn how to make $16 every time you speak to someone on the streets or anywhere about real estate? Okay, now you should be able to see this. So let's go over this. This is tracking numbers, okay? And you may want to follow along. New tech writing on the screen. Okay, this is so much fun. Ready? Let's say that you've been tracking your numbers, and just as a high level guess, you know that if you make 100 contacts, then you make 1 appointment, okay? That means you talk to 100 people about real estate and you get an appointment to talk to them about listing their home. And for every 3 appointments that you take, you get 1 listing out of that. So you talk to 3 people at an appointment at their home and you get 1 listing. So far we're hopefully with me here. And you know that 4 out of 5 statistically of your listings will turn into a sale, right? And for you, a sale, you can write down your own number, but let's say the sale is $6,000, it's a paycheck. So to get a sale, let's do the reverse math. You need 300 contacts, right? Do you know where I got that from? That's 3 appointments. So if 1 listing is 3 appointments and you get 100 contacts for every appointment, you need 300 contacts to get 1 listing. But we know that only 4 out of those 5 will sell, right? So if we know that only 4 out of those 5 sell, we have to take 300 contacts and multiply it by the inverse. Oh, I know, this is like now going back to grade 12 math. Fun times, right? So this is 375 contacts per sale. Okay, is this starting to get like simplified now? So for every 375 people you talk to, you get a sale. And a sale is $6,000. So would you talk to 375 people to make $6,000? Sounds pretty good so far. Now, you want 30 listings to sell in a year. So you say, if I talk to 375 people and I multiply that by 30 listings, or 30 listings that sell, right? That's going to be 11,250 people. Now you might say, that's a lot of people. Like, I'm not going to talk to 11,000 people. I'll talk to 375 people. That sounds fine. But I'm not going to talk to, you got to break it down into small chunks that you can eat here, right? If I said, eat this entire dinner plate or whatever in one bite, you're not going to do that. You're going to eat little bits off the plate, right? So now what happens if you sell 30 homes at $6,000? What do you get? $180,000, right? Now, would $180,000 sound good to most agents? Now, keep in mind, these are just listings that sold. So what if you have a buyer sale that throws in here? I mean, you'd be over $200,000 of income. So this is like the fast track to getting $250,000 of income as a real estate agent. So let's work out the math here. Now you work, you're going to take, every year you're going to take 4 weeks of holidays vacation. So you're going to work 48 weeks, right? And if you work 48 weeks and you're only going to work 5 days a week because you like to have your weekends for whatever you want. You might want to do an open house. You might want to take it off, but you're only going to work 5 days a week making contacts. So that means that we're going to multiply those two together. That means there's 240 days per year that you're going to work. Not so bad. So if we take the total number of contacts, 11,250 contacts, and we divide that by 240 days, that's about 47 contacts per day. See that? 47 people that you talk to in real estate every single day. How do you do that? Might be calling streets, might be door knocking, might be going out and networking. You just track how many people you're talking to per day. Okay. Now, if you're making $180,000 by doing that, and you're going to divide that by the 11,250 contacts that you made, that's going to equal $16 for every person that you speak to for the entire year. Does that make sense? Is that interesting? So what's cool about this, you guys? So you've got $16 for every person you talk to. So you say, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to call 47 people every single day, and I'm going to talk about real estate. I'm going to ask them if they want to buy or sell a house. I'm going to go out on the street and I'm going to talk to 47 people about buying or selling real estate. And you pick up the phone and you talk to the first person and you say, hi, my name is Pablo. I'm with Banana Realty, and I'm just wondering if you want to sell your home. And they say, no, bugger off. I don't want you calling me ever again. Okay, no problem. I just made $16. Next, pick up the phone. Hi, I'm wondering if you want to talk about real estate. No, I don't. Okay, I'm at 32 bucks already, right? So if you know and track your numbers and know how many numbers it takes to get to your result, you can actually work out exactly what you make per phone call that you make and track that and get excited about it. And that way, when you have a moment in your day where things aren't just going your way and people aren't listening to you, and it's been 3 days of calling people and nobody wants to hear what you have to say. And you can just go, that's no problem because I've had 3 days times, 8 hours a day times this, and I've made $2,000 in the last 3 days. May not seem like it at the time, but you have. So I'm going to go back to my other screen. If you like that, let me know. I appreciate the feedback. I know we went from like John Tsai, super exciting, to math. Oh God, help me now. So let's go back to this. So that's how you make $16 every single time you speak to someone in real estate. I just love this example because I think it cements it home. If you're wondering about what kind of things can I do, like how do I even get started? Where do I find phone numbers? How do I start all this telephone prospecting? Look up Agent Upgrade on YouTube. I did a video with Fernando Ferraris in Hamilton, Ontario. I did a video with him just the other day, and we went over a program called Telelisting, and it's a program. There's several programs out there that generate phone numbers for you so that you can just call streets. I mean, it's just a great way to get started. Look up that video and watch it because we go through all the details if you ever want to get started with telephone prospecting. Now, my uncle, who is probably one of my mentors growing up, he was one of the best salespeople I've ever met. He was a tremendous salesperson, really did well for himself. He sold radio advertising, so I know Mark Newsader's on here and knows who he is. I met his boss, and his boss is also a real estate trainer, and he trained myself and my past sales crew. And he said this, he said, John, who's my uncle, John is one of the best salespeople that I know. And he called John the gardener, okay? Long-term lead generation is like being a gardener. And that means that you plant seeds, right? You start this garden, you create the framework, you put the soil out, and then you start planting seeds. And then every day you go back and you just check on those seeds. Who needs a little bit more water over here? Oh, this one's doing well. This one's kind of low maintenance. It's going, right? But this one needs more water. Ooh, I better weed around this plant because some weeds are getting into it. I got to do that. Long-term lead generation is just like that. And there's long-term lead generation systems out there. I know Buffini is kind of like the classic one where you do pop-bys and you do long-term stuff and you're always kind of nurturing these long-term leads. It's like being a gardener. Does that make sense? Now, short-term lead generation is another polar opposite. And this one is very much, I heard this analogy the other day, and I think this is a brilliant one, looking for aces in a deck. So if you're going through a deck of cards and you're flipping through the deck of cards and your only goal is to find aces, does it matter that you don't look through and go, hey, 9 of clubs, woo, flip through, oh, two of spades right here, 2 spades. No, you don't look at those or you don't flip through either and you don't go, king, maybe a king. I found a king. Maybe I could get that king to become an ace and I'd get an ace, right? No, you're just looking for aces and there's 4 aces in a deck, hopefully, unless your kids play with your deck of cards all the time. But you go through and you look for the aces and you just flip, 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 flip. No. Ace, got one. And that's what short-term lead generation is compared to long-term lead generation. Oh, math time again. Okay, I'm going to save you some of the long math stuff, but this will be really simple, okay? This is really to look at how simple lead generation needs to be. How many total deals do you want to do as a real estate agent for the entire year, okay? So let's just say that you want to do, I don't have this in the right order. Let's just fly through here, okay? What's the total number of deals that you want to do for the year? And, maybe write these down because this is going to be a really valuable exercise for your mindset. You want to do 20 deals this year. You want to do 30 deals this year. You want to do 50 deals this year. You write down the total number of deals that you want to do this year. And then under that, how many deals do you think will come by referral through past clients? I call these like the come list me deals that you didn't have to work for. Somebody in another market phoned you up and said, hey, I've got a referral for someone in Calgary. Would you take it? I say, great, I'll do it. Those are the easy ones, right? You don't really have to work for it too much. And then how many of the total deals that you have will come from a buy sell? Okay, that means that either you double-ended your own listing or someone that you helped sell also went and bought a house, or even better, you double-ended a listing and then you helped that person that sold buy a house again, so triple-end it, right? But how many of those deals do you think will come from a buy and a sell? And then the last one, well, the referrals and PC is one step. The gimmies are another step. This is like the come list me's. So sorry, referral and PC is going to be like, these are the old past clients that called you up and said, hey, it's been 3 years. We're ready to move now. And you didn't have to do too much as far as new lead generation. The gimmies are the ones that are just call me up, right? And then I want you to write down how many deals are remaining there. So I did the example this way. Let's say you want to do 25 deals for the year. And you've got 5 deals that are going to come to you from your past clients. And if you're working your past client database, this should be very attainable. Okay, so 5 deals are going to come as referral or past clients. And let's say that 5 of those total deals that you're going to do are going to be a buy and sell. And there's going to be 3 easy deals that just fall on your lap. Like this might be your cousin needs to sell their home, right? Easy deals. So 25 minus 5 minus 5 minus 3 gives you 12 deals remaining that you need to find for the year. So that means that you need to find 12 leads that convert to a deal for the entire year. The rest is kind of going to take care of itself. Like the rest will just happen from past clients, et cetera. But you need to find 12 new leads for the year. So I always ask people, like, when you look at this and then you say, well, I'm buying leads online and I get 1,000 leads a month. How many leads do you need, right? So really think about the quality of the type of leads that you're generating versus the quantity of the leads that you're generating. If you only need 12 or double that number, you want to do 50 deals a year, maybe you only need 2 leads a month that actually turn into a deal, but you still have to go find those 2, right? So that kind of puts it into perspective. When I was doing my lead generation, I was always focused on what I called now leads. Okay, I was looking for people who wanted to transact now. So this is my own personal process. You can follow this or not, do whatever you like, but I'm going to show you what I did, and it worked really well for me. I had this flow. This was the lead flow. A contact, okay, I was making contacts every day. If they were even possible, a contact is just somebody that I spoke to. It's like not a child, but a decision-making adult that was alive and breathing. So if I talked to someone about real estate, that was a contact, and I would mark down how many contacts I made. If there was any chance or any possibility that that contact was looking to move in the next few months, they would become a prospect. So this is the deal flow, right? So I'm defining these things now. If they gave me their contact information and I engaged with a follow-up with them, they'd become a lead. And so when I look at people's databases and they say, well, I've got 1,000 leads or 2,000 leads or 3,000 leads, those are contacts. And if they're actually looking to buy or sell, they might be prospects, but they're not leads yet in my books. Now, if they sign a contract with me, a buyer representation agreement or a listing contract, then they become a client. So I was always focused on this funnel. How can I get someone from a contact to a prospect? Like contact, then you're looking for prospects. And then how do I get them into a lead? And how do I get them into a client? And then I had to define a lead. So I defined the lead as someone who's going to be buying or selling, right? And that gave me their contact information and I was actually engaging with them. And then I had to define which leads that I wanted to work with. And this was really critical. Let's put it this way. If you have no leads and you get someone who's looking to buy or sell in the next 2 or 3 years, that's a lead for you. You know, if you have a lot of leads, then it becomes, okay, I'm only looking for the ones who are really going to transact very soon. And so the more leads that you get and the more active people that you're in communication with on a daily basis, you're going to tighten up that definition of a lead. So my definition of a lead was really someone who is willing to sign a contract or sign a listing contract or a buyer rep contract, or who's going to work with me in the next 7 to 10 days, like somebody really, really soon. So I was looking for people. This is going through the card deck looking for aces. And if somebody said, well, I'm thinking of selling, but not for another year, I could either choose to spend my time, and this either way is okay, spend my time nurturing and following up with that lead long-term, or I can focus on finding more aces in the deck. And so I focused on more aces in the deck. And if they were a king, I wasn't going to try and convert them into a ace. Okay, so I was looking for people who are looking to buy or sell right now. If you feel like listening to that and you're saying that kind of makes sense, but I've got thousands of leads. I got this database, I got Top Producer, and in that Top Producer, I've got my past clients and I've got all these internet leads that came in, and I've got thousands or hundreds of leads and I don't even know where to start. Do this. This is like the lead cleanup system that you'll love this. Number one, you call every single lead in your database. If you don't have a phone number for a lead in your database, they're not really a lead. It's just some random contact that contacted you. I would send them a quick email. All the ones that don't have a phone number, filter them really quickly. Send them an email. If you're ever looking to buy or sell a home, contact me. Thank you. And then delete all those leads, because if they ever call you or contact you, great. The chances of you ever getting something out of those leads is so slim, it's not worth your time to go through every single one of those leads and keep emailing them and trying to get them, right? So call every single lead, and then you're going to use what we call the 3-3-3 rule. You're going to call them, but you're not going to leave a voicemail, because voicemails take way too long and people don't return these voicemails. So you're going to call, you're going to try and get a live person on the phone. You're going to call 3 times. Okay, and you're going to let it just ring 3 times during that call. So call 3 times. Try reaching them 3 times. If you can't reach them in 3 times, you're going to delete that lead. And then if you do reach the lead and you're trying to convert them into a lead, like somebody that's going to work with you, and you've tried 3 times, you're also going to delete that lead. And you're going to filter through all your leads. If you get someone on the phone, you're going to ask them these 2 questions. Are you still looking to buy or sell a home? No, we're not. We actually aren't looking to buy or sell a home. Okay, if you ever are looking to buy or sell a home, you've got my contact information. Let me know. Bye. Delete the lead. If they say, yes, we are still looking, great. Can we get the process started this week? And you may have to modify that with COVID-19 here, but can we get the process started this week? Or can we get the process started as soon as COVID's done, right? Yes, we can. Great. Now you've got a lead, okay? This will probably get you from hundreds of leads down to 0, 1, or 2, or 3, or 4. If you have 3 or 4 actual leads who are going to transact with you, and you go back to that, I only need 12 to do 25 deals a year, you're doing very well if you have 3 or 4 actual bona fide leads right now. Hopefully that makes sense. So follow up, and we're almost done. So follow up, we all hear the saying, right? The money is made or lost in the follow-up. So you get these leads, now what? Your absolute number one focus with every lead that you get is to set an appointment. And at the end of every appointment, your goal is to set the next appointment. Okay, so you're always trying to keep that lead going by setting an appointment and then setting another appointment at the end of that appointment. Okay, it's critical during these times to have a very high level of communication and a high level of response time. I have a realtor in my market, and I remember he changed his cell phone, the ringtone was a cash register. And that was to remind him that every time the phone rang, it was like cash, right? So your response time, how quickly are you able to respond? How quickly are you able to respond to leads when they're in when you're in work time, and how quickly are you able to respond to leads after hours? Those are the questions that you want to kind of ask yourself. And what kind of systems do you have? Do you have to get a VA to respond to leads? Do you have to get some kind of autoresponder to follow up with leads so that you have some form of touch-based communication? You're not lead. When a lead contacts a realtor, if they don't get a response relatively soon, they'll contact another realtor. They're not going to wait for you to call them back, okay? Also, lead follow-up is a scheduled time. So we talked about scheduling and time management in one of the previous sessions, and scheduling and time management is really critical. So if you do your prospecting, your lead generation in the morning, which is when you should be doing it, and then you schedule your follow-up during that time. And what I mean here, when you're doing lead generation, that should be an outgoing activity only. So you're making phone calls, you are out there actively generating leads. If someone calls you back or there's other incoming communications, you do not want to deal with those while you're making the outbound calls, because what will happen? You'll get distracted, right? You get distracted, something happens, and next thing you know, you're not generating, which is what you need to be doing as a realtor. So you schedule your lead follow-up time and you make a specific time of the day where you call people back, follow up with the leads that came in during that time. So I'm going to go through our process. This is what we did, Simone and I. I'll post all these on the website. They may not be up right away because I haven't uploaded everything, but this was our lead follow-up process. I had full-size sheets of paper, and the reason why I'd have full-size pieces of paper is because sticky notes get lost and they kind of end up in random places, and I could put these into a file folder and have everything nicely organized. So any lead that came in, whether it was an internet lead or a phone call, a sign call, whatever, every lead got put onto a lead sheet. And I had on the left was a seller lead sheet, and on the right was a buyer information form, which is a buyer lead sheet, okay? So I would fill out where the source of the lead was, and then I had lots of space there for communication. So on this form, it would have their contact information. So I got somebody wanted a home evaluation. We'd put all their information, I put some notes and the date that I called them or the date that I spoke to them. And I would put that into a red file. So red was for sellers, blue is for buyers. And you'd keep those files on your desk. And all day, every day, you would spend your time following up with these hot leads. These are the ones, this is the aces in the deck, folks. So the buyer leads, we would fill out all the preamble in there. I'd make sure that I get the contact information form. Sometimes I'd use the people I'm going to help next. And you can see that I didn't call it a lead sheet. I call it people I'm going to help next, because it's just a nicer, softer name rather than I'm just going to put you on this form called lead sheet. Sometimes you're right in front of the lead in an open house or something. And so on that sheet, it'd say people I'm going to help next. I'd write it in there. I'd put it into a blue file or a red file. And I would follow up until they actually transacted and became a client. And it was that simple. If I had a long-term lead and I wanted to work with long-term leads, what I did is I had a binder. So I got a new lead, and then they said, we've put our house search on hold, but we do want to catch up with it in like 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. So all I did is I had a binder, and you can see a picture of a binder here, tabbed with January, February, March, April, one for each month of the year. And they said 6 months, I'd say 4 months, like cut the time in about half. And I would stick their file, I'd hole punch it, and I'd stick it right into that month. And every month at the beginning of the month, open it up to that tab and start calling those leads again, seeing if I can get them back into the folders, right? So it's kind of like a physical process where I was moving things along from lead space to lead space. And that's it. There was no electronic database. There was no drip campaigns or anything like that. But, and this is the big but, I'm Spanish, so I got a big but. But we also had a long-term nurturing campaign for our past clients in Sphere. So I always had the long-term nurturing was always with our past clients, and we had all of those in a database. But the new leads coming in always went through this short term. So it was aces in the deck for new leads, gardening for the past clients. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's helpful to some people. Now, if you have a couple of leads, a couple of people in your database, you can keep them all in your head. But at some point, you're going to get, as you grow as a real estate agent, a lot of leads, and you're going to need a CRM, which is called a client relationship manager or customer relationship manager. And this is an online program. If you Google CRM for realtors, you're going to come up with tons. Top Producer, Pipedrive. What else is there? Gosh, KV Core is another one that we use. There's a lot. Mojo Sells has what I would say to people is go through your local board. There's probably a CRM provided for free under some other program that you have. I know with our board, we have at least 2 or 3 CRM programs that are provided for free as part of other subscriptions. So check into that. You might have some already there. But a CRM allows you to organize leads and past clients, sets reminders and processes, and then campaigns. Campaigns, if you haven't heard about this, it's something that this would be a great time while we're in isolation to look into. This is for your leads that you have in a database. You have a long-term campaign for people that either come into your website and generate a lead and they get responded to. And this is where the system is kind of communicating with your clients. So campaigns are where you set up a flow, a process. So you want to say, maybe I'm going to set up a past client campaign and I want it to once a month send out just a touch base email. And then once every 3 months, I want it to send a text to my clients that says this. And then once every year, I want it to send a big update from it. So you set up a campaign and it automatically sends these things out on a timely manner. When you get a new lead, you can apply a campaign and it does the rest for you. So that's a campaign, good thing to look into. So the next thing is you get a lead and you're like, yes, I got a lead. Now what? What do you say, right? So the first thing is you do is if you're using online campaigns, you initialize a campaign because that will be for your online people, depending on if you have the passive or the active lead generation process, right? If you're using more active lead generation, you're getting a physical lead, you're going to really want to be using a script and a dialogue, and you're going to want to practice that script and role play it with other people in your office or other agents or even family members. I used to role play with my wife or my kids sometimes if I could. But for in-person, definitely focus on the scripts, which are definitely phenomenal in order to do that. And I'm going to provide you some scripts that you can use, okay? Make sure that you're asking questions. We all know the adage that selling isn't telling, selling is asking questions. And if you're just telling people how great you are in a prospecting call or a call, you're not going to get too many leads. If you're asking questions, you're going to guide people through a process that's going to be based on them and themselves and what's important to them. So you want to be asking a lot of questions and avoid telling them things. So if somebody says, how's the market these days? We don't say, well, actually the market is really this and it's really bad or it's really great and it's going to come back. I'm telling. Say, actually right now we're looking for homes to sell. Who do you know that is looking to buy or sell a home? It's a question that's going to lead them to make an answer. And then I'm going to respond and ask another question. I'm not going to tell them about things, right? Lastly, here is never argue, always agree. When you argue a point with someone, whether this is a lead or your spouse or anyone, if you argue with someone, you're instantly telling them they're wrong. And when someone is being told that they're wrong, they get defensive and they don't like it, right? Nobody likes being told that they're wrong. So never argue with people, always agree, and then ask them another question. And there's ways of dealing with this. I mean, when we get to the advanced scripts, it's going to become very interesting because somebody's going to say, well, I heard that no homes are selling at all. You don't say, actually they are. You're wrong. I'm right because I look at the stats, right? So you're going to say something like, wow, I can appreciate that, right? And then you're going to say something like, so have you heard of any home selling at all? Well, there might be a couple, but there's not much activity at all. Okay. Are you looking to sell your home right now? See, I can say, okay, I'm not arguing with them, right? Okay, is it important to sell your home right now, or would you want to sell when there's more activity? Well, I'd want to sell when there's more activity for sure. Great. Do you think that right now maybe also that there's less activity, probably going to be people pulling their homes off the market? Would you agree? Yeah, everybody's going to take their homes off the market, right? So would you want to be on the market when all those homes come back on the market, or would you want to be on the market before all those homes get on the market so that there was more buyers for less homes? Well, that's a good point. I never thought about it that way. Great. So I'm agreeing with them. Like, I'm not disagreeing. I don't have to say, oh, you're right. But say, okay, I can appreciate that point of view. And I'll ask a question that's going to lead them to an answer that I want to get anyways, which is I want you to list your home right away, right? So never argue, always agree. Here's some past client scripts that I've used in the past. Very simple. And I'm also posting these on the script, so you don't have to, you can screenshot or whatever you want. But hi, blank, this is your realtor, blank. Do you have a minute? The reason for my call is to let you know that I'm still in real estate. And who do you know that may need to buy or sell a home in the next couple of months? I appreciate you taking the time to consider that. How about you? When do you plan on moving? So super simple, right? Now, I did at the bottom here a COVID-19 script. So if you're wondering what to say to people when you're calling your past clients, because you need to call all your past clients, of course, and check in on them. Hey, I'm reaching out to all my past clients right now to check in on them. How are you and your family doing these days? And now you stop and listen and let them talk. Let them explain what's going on in their lives and have empathy and have that conversation. At the end, you say, good to hear. You know, I've really been following the market closely. Do you have any friends or family members who've been thinking of making a move when this is over? Now or when this is over? And they might say, well, no, you know, we can't think of anybody. So you say, well, I can appreciate that. How about you? Are you guys considering any changes? And they might say, you know, Pablo, we have been thinking that once this is all over, maybe our house is too big. Maybe we could downsize. Or we just realized that we've been stuck together in this 1,200 square foot apartment for the last 6 weeks, and we need to get out of here and buy a house, right? So there's your COVID-19 script that you can use. And like I said, I do have some downloads. And at the bottom of the screen there, if you go to agentupgrade.ca/downloads, definitely this script will be on there. And then I'm going to upload the rest throughout the day. So maybe check back tomorrow and I'll have the rest of the scripts uploaded for you, okay? So we always finish off with some of my tips. Now, very simplified lead generation. Work it out to the numbers. Don't make this some overwhelming task that seems to be daunting and that you end up doing nothing. Because that's what happens to a lot of agents, is that they get overwhelmed, they got too much going on, and they end up doing nothing, okay? Make it simple. Start with 10 contacts a day. Start with something simple. Watch the videos that you need to watch and then make some contacts. Build in consistency into your routine, the habit, that consistency. Remove your ego. And this is where you're kind of like, people don't want to talk to me, or I'm too good for being on the phone. You know, like John is one person, but I've talked to numerous agents, especially throughout North America and the States and Canada. And these people are like, you know, when you look at that picture of a real super successful realtor in your mind, and you can see them like stepping out of their Porsche downtown, and they're like hobsnobbing with the, you know, they're making millions of dollars a year and they're dressed in the Armani suits. I've met those agents, and then I go see what they do in the morning, and they're there with their headset on and the little boom mic, and they're making calls, right? So the best of the most successful agents, they're the ones making the most calls. And I can tell you, like I said, the list goes very proportionate, the number of people that you're talking to every day and your income, okay? Eliminate your ego and get on the phones. Talk to more people, you know, again, the proportionate amount. And this is the last point here that this is what I believe built my business in real estate. We developed this motto, a saying, that we believe that people deserved an exceptional experience. So I was always focused on providing an exceptional experience. So whether it's the type of communication, the number and the frequency of communication that I would provide leads or my clients was exceptionally high. It was always really strong. So I looked at that in every single aspect of my business and said, am I being exceptional with this? Am I better than every other agent who's doing this right now? So if it was lead follow-up, I would want to be able to truthfully go to my sellers and say, when a lead comes in, here's what happens. I'm on them right away. I call them right away. I'll go and see them right away. I'm on it, or my team is, right? So if you're doing a lot of transactions and you have a schedule, you may not be able to run out right away, but you've got a team who does. Okay. Every single thing that I did in lead generation and lead follow-up and working my past clients in Sphere was all exceptional. From the marketing materials that they got to the level of communication and the service they got, always exceptional. And that's what built up my business. So that's it for today for lead generation and follow-up. I hope that was really valuable for you. That was a long session. We had an interesting start, which people online here won't see when I record it later. But next April, 2 Thursdays from now, which is April 16th, I'm going to have Simone on the call. It's going to be an absolutely critical, you do not want to miss this one. This is going to be the best session that you've seen in your life. It's all on the listing presentation, and it goes through the flow of exactly what we did. We have a science for the listing presentation, how to make it look exceptional, and how to deal with the leads and put them through this process that they see. It's like a lead machine that you put the leads in and you spit out listings at the end of the day. It's so great. You're going to want to see that. So spread the word. We really appreciate it. I'm going to unmute people's mics now, and I'm going to stop my screen share.